You know how older TV shows always had that one gay episode? I want to take a look at them with a critical eye and see if the representations of queer folk still hold up to this day. Today, we have WKRP in Cincinnati, Season 1, Episode 3, Less on a Ledge. Right off the bat, I just want to warn y'all that this episode's quality isn't the greatest, as you can already see. The audio is even worse, and I honestly have no idea how to make it sound better, so I'll just be presenting the clips as they were shown to me, but adding subtitles to make it easier to understand. I hope this helps. WKRP in Cincinnati is a workplace sitcom following the antics of a struggling radio station set in, you guessed it, Cincinnati. It features an ensemble cast. We have Andy, the program director who acts as the series' straight man, Arthur, the general manager who is incompetent at his job, Dr. Johnny Fever, a radio DJ who's also a cynical hippie type, Les, a meek effeminate news reporter, Herb, the vain sales manager, and finally, Jennifer, the station's wise and pathetic secretary. She also, unfortunately, acts as the other character's eye candy, but the writing of the show makes it clear that she's more than that. There's a few other characters, but I won't mention them, due to them not appearing in this episode. Let's get into it. Less on a Ledge starts off with Johnny finishing his time slot as Les comes in to begin his news segment, already showing his internal conflict with insecurity while we hear his newly made intro music.
Very nice. I like it.
Now here's Les Nessman and the news.
Good morning. This is Les Nessman reporting.
It's funny, due to the contrast between what he wants to portray himself as and what he actually is. But knowing what this episode is about, it has a tint of meanness to it, mocking him for not being as masculine as he wants to or should be as a man. Johnny then moves on to ogling Jennifer, and she asks him to get Herb off her back since he's been sexually harassing her. His solution is to tell Herb that she's transgender, which is just awful. It implies that trans women aren't desirable sexually or socially, and he also implies we're being sneaky and sly by saying that Jennifer is, quote, the result of the most cunningly successful sex change operation, which is disgusting. It plays into the stereotype that we only transition in order to seduce cis men and turn them gay or whatever they think we do. In reality, we only transition so we can be more aligned with who we truly are. And, of course, Herb's response to this is one of shock and disbelief. In his mind, he can't fathom the idea that a trans woman would actually look like a quote-unquote real woman, and the language used between the two of them just furthers their dive into transphobic rhetoric.
You mean to tell me that Jennifer, that she's a
Guy. Or at least she used to be.
What you're saying? I mean, you're telling me that she...
So much of this is played for laughs, and I'm just sitting here with a blank face. It's not that I can't take a joke, it's that this isn't funny, at all. It's just mean. The refusal of transphobic men to accept trans women as women is partially due to their own insecurities. They don't like the idea of being thought of as gay for finding a trans woman attractive, so they hammer those feelings down and call us all guys. You're literally finding us attractive due to our femininity. How does that make you gay in any form? This innate insecurity furthers when the episode's main conflict is revealed. A baseball team is considering banning Les from interviewing players because they believe he's gay, and the reaction of his coworkers to the very idea that he might be gay also plays into the same insecurity. They're afraid of being thought of as gay for associating with a gay person and scared of being treated the way that they treat women, thinking of them as purely sexual objects instead of people with thoughts, emotions, and autonomy. It's not just that though, it's also due to external bigotry pushed onto them from greater society. They're told that queer folk are disgusting and shouldn't be trusted, and they internalize those ideas without a second thought, instead of looking at reality and realizing that queer folk are also people who deserve the love and respect of others. Challenging those ideas is so important, which is why I don't particularly like this episode. It correctly presents bigotry as a societal problem, but then never does anything meaningful to address or challenge it. Once Les is told about this new rule, his reaction is to go out on the ledge in order to, because he doesn't want to live if his reputation is besmirched. His words, not mine, by being thought of as gay. I can see this as Les recognizing that society doesn't accept queer folk, as opposed to it being entirely due to his own bigotry, but he's still participating in that bigotry by going along with society's outdated rules for homosexuality. He plays into the idea that being gay is wrong and should be stamped out while he's actively a victim of those same rules, since he isn't as masculine as other men believe he should be. That's what this all stems from. Les is more effeminate than not, and other insecure men can't handle that fact, so they tell themselves it must be because he's a homosexual, instead of accepting that not all men are the macho, lumberjack veterans of war they're supposed to be, or whatever else men are quote-unquote supposed to be. Thankfully, we have a voice of reason in Jennifer, who says it doesn't matter if Les is gay or not, he's a dutiful employee. I'd praise the episode more if it focused on her perspective for the conclusion, but it doesn't. It instead focuses on Herb's stance on homosexuality at the end.
If you're gay, you're gay. It doesn't matter. But if you're not gay, then people shouldn't go around saying you are. So give me your hand.
Which of course saves Les and solves everything at the end of the episode, even though it's completely meaningless. It doesn't accept gay people for who they are, it condemns people who spread awful rumors such as, what if this person is gay? Of course, I'm against deeming people who don't necessarily fit into the archetypes of masculine and feminine as queer, but that's not how Herb's message comes off. It comes off more to me like you shouldn't call people gay because it's terrible to be called gay, which is just a wild take. This episode is more about the stigma of homosexuality than it is mocking gay people directly. It still mocks trans people though, I'm not forgetting that, and I commend the episode for at least pointing out that this was an issue at the time. But I don't think it truly addresses it in a meaningful way. It just points out its existence without challenging it. I know it's a sitcom and not every episode has to have the most important point to make, but I think it was especially important for the time to come out in support of queer people, and they didn't. Really. They just vaguely defend homosexuality while throwing trans people under the bus, especially with its ending that seems like it's trying to be funny wordplay but just comes off as dumb.
This is pretty complicated, but he wanted to know if a guy dates a girl who used to be a guy but isn't anymore, what does that make the guy who dates the girl who used to be a guy?
It's a toughie.
Straight. It makes the man straight for finding a woman attractive. I think this episode could have been much, much worse with its depiction of gay men, but also could have done a lot better, as I've already mentioned. It just comes off as liberals pointing out that there are problems, but not actually wanting to do anything to solve the problem, which is a problem in and of itself. Thanks for watching.